This is the best smartwatch up to $70 with this really nice AMOLED display, great brightness. It's capable of receiving and making phone calls and talk through the smartwatch. It has GPS for our outdoor activities, more than 100 watch faces, battery that lasts up to 11 days, and an app and software which are really complete. But it has one thing that I don't like. So this is the CMF Watch Pro 2 and we have a lot to talk about it, so I will leave some chapters right over here so that you can jump to your favorite part. At this moment of the recording it costs 66 euros. I will leave the link down below so that you can check it out, probably in US dollars if you live in the US. And back in Black Friday, just a few days ago, it was costing 55 euros, so that's unbeatable. From everything that we are going to talk about on this particular video, I did really enjoy the software that this watch has, the software of the app. It is accurate enough for sports, we will need to talk about that, and it's capable of receiving and making calls. Alô, Zoca. Estás-me a ouvir bem?
Consigo-te ouvir.
Fala lá que é para eu perceber se consigo ouvir bem aqui ou não.
Consegues-me ouvir melhor?
Yeah. Olha, editaste o vídeo que eu te pedi ou não?
Acabei de editar.
Foi? Está tudo ok?
Está tudo.
Epá, consigo ouvir muito bem aqui no relógio. Não sei o que é que tu estás a ouvir aí desse lado. It is built of aluminium here on the bottom part, and on the top part it is a plastic bezel which we can remove. And if we want to replace, this is the square version, but if we want to replace with the rounded version, we can. We just need to screw it in detached and then screw it, and there we go. No, not this side, this side. Now it's locked and there we go. In terms of the build quality, I would say that it is more than we are paying. At least this is the sensation. If I was paying 200 euros or 200 US dollars for this, I would say, hey, the materials should be better. But in this particular case, I would say the other way around. It looks better than what it costs. Now, this is the silver version and there is a black version. And what we can see right over here is that the silver will highlight probably some of the plastics, some of the materials that are not so premium. So I would say that if you are looking for a device that you want to grab attention, then probably this one is the way to go. But if you want to have a device that looks a little bit more premium with the exact same materials, but it doesn't look as plasticky, then the black version, probably in my opinion, is the best choice. Interesting is that on this price range, it is on the bottom part of the smartwatches that we have seen, at least for this kind of software, on the app. We have seen other watches that are cheaper, but then the software doesn't work, it is buggy, it is heavy, and it's not comparable with this smartwatch. But comparing this smartwatch with other premium watches, then it is on the lower end, which is great in terms of price, having in mind everything that we will get out of it. But it also has another interesting feature, which is it's close enough to the smart bands, enough that in my personal opinion, I prefer to give more 15 euros or more 20 euros to have a full-fledged smartwatch instead of a band. It has an AMOLED display, really bright, with 1.32 inches, and we can see it really well, not only here inside but also on the outside. I would just like to ask your attention for the recordings that I did, because my smartphone records in a different refresh rate of the smartwatch, so there are some images that you are seeing the watch flickering, but on real life what happens is that you will see exactly what you are seeing right over here, everything, even on the sun. This just depends on the camera that we are recording, so I apologize about that. I've been using for the past 2-3 weeks as a daily watch, as I do with any other smartwatch. I just remove everything and I use it for my notifications, for my calls, for everything that I do. And the experience has been really, really good. In terms of the sports that I do on my treadmill and also outside jogging, also some cycling and paddle sessions. Just for those that are here for the first time, I'm not a professional athlete. I'm just someone that likes or enjoys to do some sports activities like these that I just mentioned, and I like to keep track of them, and I like to compare my results, my evolution, my high peaks and my low peaks with any of the devices that I use. And the behavior of the CMF has been great. For example, on my treadmill, the experience that I've been having, and on the treadmill, it's difficult for any smartwatch to measure because we only have the bouncing effect. We don't have the distance, because if we are outside, it will use the GPS, which we will talk in just a few moments. But on the inside, it's difficult. So it is doing a great job. Sometimes I finish my session of 5 kilometers or 6 kilometers just with the difference of 100 meters or 200 meters, which in my personal opinion, I don't even bother to adjust. But if you need to adjust, then we can. There's that option. We just stop and then we say that I did 100 meters more or 100 meters less, and that is it. Also, while playing paddle, it tracks my movement, my sport, although it doesn't have paddle, it has tennis, which is what I use. Now, GPS, this is a factor that for those that want something really serious, then you will not get it here. Now, comparing with the Google Pixel 9 Pro, what we can see right over there, one of my travels on a electrical bike, I did compare the Google Pixel 9 Pro, which is on your right, with the CMF Watch Pro 2, which is on your left. And what we can see is that the watch will fail more than the smartphone. Now, we can't compare prices because one costs 1,100 euros and the other one costs 66 euros. But we can compare the GPS, and regardless of the price, the smartphone is much more accurate and much more of the times than the smartwatch. We can see that the smartwatch will fail a lot more than the smartphone. So I would say that if you are looking for something 100%, which doesn't exist, but close to 100% in terms of GPS, this is not the smartwatch to go. And the sad news is that you will need to jump 2 or 3 different levels in terms of price point to achieve that kind of level. On the other hand, if you are like myself, for example, that you enjoy doing your jogging sessions outside, and if you want to go for a walk, and if you want to track that, but when it comes to measure the exact distance that you are doing, you really don't bother, and you will not be zooming the map, because that's something that on my daily usage I don't do with any smartwatch, regardless of the price. So if you are that person, you just want to track, and you know that that was the walk that you did, more to the left or more to the right, that was what you did, less 100 meters or more 200 meters, then you will be just fine. In terms of the heart rate measurement, what I do notice compared with my chest strap, which is what I use on a daily basis for my jogging sessions, is that it has a longer delay. It takes more time to notice my high peaks. When we are talking about a comfort zone like now, it will be the same, but when we do high intensive intervals, then we will notice that it takes longer to achieve the maximum. It will take longer to achieve the minimum, while the chest strap is always more accurate. But this we can compare with other smartwatches that I use. All of them has a certain level of delay. This one has a little bit more than the premium ones that we can see, but that's about it. But now let's take a look at the smartwatch software and the app. So if we scroll up, we will have access to the notifications, and if I get in one, I can just go here, and for example, if I want, I can ignore, and it will disappear from here, but it will not disappear from my phone. And if I want, I can clean all the notifications right over here. If I scroll down, then we will have the settings menu, which we will go to that in just a few moments, and then left and right, we will go to these menus, but if we keep on moving, it will go in a 360. So let's start here. We have the daily goals, so we can check here if we have accomplished all of them or not. We also have the weather right over here with a lot of details depending on our region. I believe that this is a really nice detail, the sunrise and sunset. And if I go to my watch face that I'm using right now, it has also that detail here, which I find it really cool. It's a simple thing, but really cool. Now, if you keep on moving to the right, we will have access to the heart rate. I can press, I can see the details. At this moment I'm not wearing, so it will give me this message, but I can scroll down and see some of the details if it lets me. And this, okay, so we will go out, but you can see the idea. If I press right over here, we will have the hours that I sleep. I sleep, but not too much, as you guys know, and I wake up early for my daily jogging session, and there we go. And right over here we have the oxygen level on our blood, which we can measure, but at this moment I'm not using the watch, so so there's no point. On the next menu, it's more targeted at sports, so we can have the access to the music that we are listening or the playlist. And then if I want to start my outdoor run, I just press it. At this moment, it's telling me to put in the, the watch. And we also have the steps right over here, which we can see if we already achieved the goal, which we did with this morning jogging session. I just have 5,000 steps, so that's not difficult to achieve. Now the next menu is the dial pad for the phone, so I can just go to my recent calls here. I will not, because I will show the numbers. I can also go to the contacts, which this contact list, it's managed by me. I will go to the app and I will select 5 or 6 contacts that I want to place here, and then once I press it, I will have the name and the number. And then we also have the keypad, which is useful if we want to do a manual call. Now one of the things that I did notice is that while I was showering quite a few times, I don't know how, but the water just drops in here and accidentally will call the last number that I did use. So this is something to have in mind when you go to your shower. So basically this is in terms of the usage. If we go to the watch faces, I can just press here for a couple of seconds and then we can choose 4, but on the app, as we will have the chance to see, we can have a lot more. Now the watch faces, most of them has also some customizations where I can change steps for calories or something else that I find more useful. This particular case, I actually like this watch face, so I will leave it like it is. And then if we scroll up, then we have the option to sleep, so we don't get disturbed. The battery saving modes. We also have the option to raise our wrist and wake up the watch or not. And then the brightness levels, which we can use auto, but I'm using right on the 4th level, and I find it to be great even outside. And then the flashlight, which we can also use it. And lastly, we have the settings. Now the settings, we have a lot of options right over here. I'm not gonna waste your time. Now the settings, we have a lot of options as well in terms of the way that we can see things, display and brightness, the sounds that the watch does, return to watch, do not disturb, quick gestures that we can use and we can configure. It also has the haptic standard. Now at this moment it's standard, but in my opinion, the standard is strong enough. Actually, probably too strong. And if we select strong, it's even stronger. So that's the only complaint that I have. Then we also have the option for the workout detection, which we can enable or disable. Language, system menu, which we can have the options to restart and whatnot, the user guide, and then the info about the watch. Lastly, there's also a menu here, which we have a lot more options. Now let's just go through a few, and the exercise is one of those that I use a lot. So I've configured the activities that I want to show here first, and we can on the app select the ones that we want to use or not. We can also go to records and check out the exercises that we have done by order. So if I go here to one of my pedal sessions, which we don't have pedal, so 10ish, and we will see that there was a duration of 2 hours and 26, these many calories, this is the average heart rate, the maximum. So it will give me a lot of information, which is useful, and we don't even need to go to the app to check out those things. So I can just scroll here and check it out. And besides that, we also have a lot of options here, as you can see: activity, sleep, stress, cycles. This is for girls, obviously. World clock, reminders, phone calls, music, camera remote. We can control our mobile phone to take pictures or videos, weather, breathing exercises, the voice assistant. So a lot of features for this smartwatch. And now on the home screen of the app, which, as we can see, it gives us a lot of information. And one really cool thing is that I look at it and in a few seconds I have an idea if I've achieved my goals or not. So for example, at the top we have the today. So if I press it, it will show me more details right over here. And if I want, I can select just any other day that I want, and I can see what I did that day. For example, here I did jogging in the morning and then a session of paddle in the evening, which is cool. We can also go to the calendar and check out months after months. In this particular case, I'm only using it for 2-3 weeks or so. We can check it right over here. And if I want to go to one of these days, I just press it and I will be there taking a look at what I've done or what I've achieved. Then we have the exercise menu, which will show me the today exercise. I did a morning session of 20 25 minutes jogging on the treadmill. So if I press it here, it will give me a list of some of the sports that we have done. And if I go right over here, I can check out this one, for example, and I can see my evolution in terms of heart rate. I then can compare with other exercises that I did and see my evolution in terms of effort, in terms of the heart rate intensity. So really, really cool. If we go back, we also have the stress levels. Now, this is something that you can use. Honestly, in my personal opinion, I usually tend not to use, but it's here, might be useful for some. The blood oxygen level we can also have monitoring 24 hours a day or manually, which is as I have it right now. And then we also have the sleep mode. Now, this one I actually use. I sleep not a lot, as you can see, 5.5 hours today, and if we go yesterday, 6 hours and 10. So this is my average, more or less. I'm a morning person. I wake up full of energy, I jog, and then I do a lot of work and I do a lot of stuff, a lot of activities. So I'm this kind of person. Now, in terms of heart rate, it's detecting 24/7, which is an option, and we will see that in just a few moments. I can check out the other days, my averages and whatnot. We can compare here the days that I did sport activities and the days that I didn't. And then there's also these cycles, which I have no data, but for girls this will be useful. And then the activity score, which will mean that if I'm being too active or not too much active, here it will show me the days that I did some sport and the days that I didn't, and it also gives me a score. And besides this active score, if we go back and we go here to the training load, it will also help me to identify if I'm training too hard or training too low. But at this moment it's telling me that I'm on the high level, and in my personal opinion and what I feel with my body, I believe that I'm not. So this is something that we'll need to adjust to our body. So this is the main screen, some of the options that we can see. And then we also have here the sports section where we can start sports with the app and with the phone, which in my personal opinion as well, I prefer to start with the watch and don't touch the phone. Then if we go to the settings of the watch, we also can see the device that is connected at this moment, which is the Watch Pro 2. We can add other devices. We can go to the dial gallery, and although we have 4 right over here, besides that, we also can choose any of these. Probably you have seen some images about that already. This is very useful. Common sports. I can customize everything that I've got right over here on the smartwatch. So if I press here, I can delete some of the sports that I don't use, and then there's a huge list here which I will not read, but you can see that it's huge with a lot of sports I can add, and then I can customize like I did. And I've got indoor cycle, indoor run, tennis because there's no paddle. These are the ones that I do: outdoor walk, indoor walk, outdoor cycle. So these are the ones that I really find necessary for me. And then we can also change the order that we have them. And this is really, really useful for those that will be using smartwatch for sports. Then in terms of health monitoring, this is the option where we can select which ones we want 24/7 and which ones we just turn off, and then we measure it manually. We can also check out the contacts, which I'm not. I did already had a few of my contacts, so if I press there, I will show you the numbers, and then I need to put it on blur, and we are just wasting time. And then the widget. This is really cool because we can reorder and we can eliminate some widgets. So for example, if I don't need one of these, I can just delete, and that is it. If I want to add it back, and then it's easy, we just need to add it back once again on this menu here. Notifications, it's also something very useful. We can just deactivate or activate any app that I want to receive or not notifications. So some of them I can't enable or disable because I don't have them installed, but for example Gmail I can enable or disable. And if there's any app here that we don't have on the list, we just select other, and it will be activated for all other apps that probably it's not on the list. And then world clock, the alarms, the reminders, weather. There's also a more button here with a few more settings, which we can also find on the smartwatch. And then we can update the firmware, about the device, reset, and basically that is it. The next menu is just our personal info. Battery, according to CMF, is capable of lasting up to 11 days, and on these past few weeks what I've been measuring is that it will last doing sports on a daily basis. I do on the morning and then at evening paddle. It lasts me for about 7 days. 8 days, and that's about it. I would say that if you don't do sports as I do, then probably you'll get 9, 10, maybe the 11, I don't know, if you disable some things here. Also the brightness I've been using in level 4, as we have seen on the software, so if I put it on auto, probably I will get a few more hours, maybe 1 day, but that will be about it. And I would say that, in my opinion, once again, I don't have the patience to charge a smartwatch in 1 day, 2 day interval. It's to forget. The ideal for me is 15 days, 20 days, as I have a few, but 1 week is the minimum. I'm privileged enough to have a few smartwatches with me that I don't use. They are great smartwatches, but with 2 days battery, it's not enough. So here is a strong point for the CMF. My favorite feature is the capability of answering calls with the voice quality that you heard. Sorry about that, it was in Portuguese talking with my kids. But it's great. I don't need to remove my phone from the pocket. I just need to look at the notifications, answer, don't answer, do whatever I want, and that is it with the great quality. There is one thing that I don't like, as I said at the beginning of the video, and that has to do with the vibration. In my opinion, it is too strong. And this is a good thing and a bad thing. For me, it's a bad thing because I'm used to smartwatches that are softer. I just feel that small vibration, and sometimes I lose some notifications because of that. It is a weak point on those smartwatches. But this one is just too strong. It has the standard, which I feel that it's strong, and then it has the strongest, which is even stronger. And besides the vibration, it emits a noise while vibrating, which is normal. And if we put it here on the table, it's even worse, that we will listen. If someone is just by my side, it will listen to it. But this will depend from person to person. So one thing that bothers me a little bit, it doesn't bother you. And we have a simple solution for this. If I don't want to be bothered, I just need to activate here the, like I did right now to record the video, non-disturb mode. And that is it. Now, should you purchase this smartwatch? I would say that if you fit on the profile that we saw right over here, if you want all the features that we have seen, and you don't mind the lack of the features that we have seen that are weaker, like the GPS, which is not weaker compared to other smartwatches, but it's not a 100% accurate, and you want something on a budget up to 70 US dollars or 66 euros, more or less, then you will have a great device on your wrist. If you're looking for something more premium with a more accurate GPS and all the features that we have seen that probably are the weakest points here, then we will need to spend a lot more. Hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did so, don't forget the usual thumbs up right over there, which is really appreciated on this side of the screen. My name is Roberto, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.